Hi there, Chris here. It is time for week 7 of the DeadEnd Quilt Along that I'm hosting along with my friend Pam from Pammy Jane. This week we are making all of these 16 patch blocks, and I'm going to show you 2 different ways to make them. So the first method is really following the instructions. So we're going to start by cutting 2.5-inch strips off of our fabric, and each 2.5-inch by width of fabric strip is going to yield 16 2.5-inch squares. And then once you have your squares cut out, we're just going to sew them together to make the 16 patch. So the easiest and most efficient way to do this is really just to pair them up and sew them in sets of 2. And this is a great spot to do some chain piecing. And now we're going to sew 2 sets of 2 together. And now we need to press all of these seams. I personally like to press my seams open, or you can press them to the side. In this case, they should all be pressed towards the darker fabric, in this case, the green. And now that those are pressed, we're gonna sew these in pairs. We're gonna make sure that we alternate so we get a checkerboard. And now we'll sew 2 of these units together to make our finished block. A quick press and those blocks are done. Now for the next method, we're still going to cut off our 2.5-inch strips, but we're not going to cut it into 2.5-inch squares. Now for this method, what I'm going to do is take these 2 strips that I've cut, and we're going to cut them along the fold. So now we have 4 strips. We're going to sew these together as a strip set. Because we're going to be cutting it after we sew, I do recommend shortening your stitch length a little to at least a 2.0, if not like a 1.8. So when you're sewing long strips together, you want to make sure that you're not stretching either one. So you just want to lay them down right sides together. Make sure the edges stay lined up, but again, make sure you don't stretch either one. Add on the next strip, and now we'll add on our last strip. Now I finger pressed my seams open because that's what I prefer, but if you are a side presser, just press them all to the same side, either all to the left or all to the right. And now that we have the strip units sewn and pressed, now I'm going to cut this into smaller chunks. And when you're doing the strip piecing method, at this point you want to cut your strips as wide as your original strips were. All right, so we've cut our strip into 8 equal sized pieces, and then we just rotate every other one to create that 16 patch. All right, and now I'm ready to press these. And there you have it. Now you have 2 different methods that you can use to create your 16 patch blocks. Don't forget to log your weekly progress. Here's the QR code for this week. That's how you're going to get your name entered into all of the fun prize drawings.